Hello, welcome to Sideways. We struggled a bit this week because we'd forgotten how to record episodes of Sideways due to not having done it for the whole of the long, hot summer. But don't worry, because we soon got the hang of it again. And it sure doesn't feel like a long, hot summer anymore. It's absolutely freezing out here this morning. Anyway, this week we're talking about what it means to experience losses that aren't directly related to death. We debate why men always find it so funny when other men get hit in the balls, exchange tales of losing things, debate the merit of saying a prayer to St. Anthony, the saint of lost things, and there's a cautionary tale about motorised wheelchairs and mini-roundabouts. It's good to be back. Loss. So you had trouble logging on this morning then?
Yeah.
You've had the best part 2 months to sort that out, haven't you?
Yeah, I couldn't find the code. I normally have it written down on a slip of paper on my desk, and that had been mislaid.
It's interesting you say that because I've just been thinking to myself, I can't really remember how to do this.
No, it's strange, isn't it? You get out of the swing of things.
Yeah. The post box outside the house has been yarn bombed with a is that the phrase, yarn bombing?
Yeah, I think we
got it wrong the first time, didn't we? We said knit bombing, didn't we?
Yeah, but we came to the conclusion yarn bombing was the correct phrase. Yeah,
it's got a Halloween theme now.
Has it? Very satanic.
Is that satanic?
I don't know. It is, isn't it?
I wouldn't have said it was satanic necessarily. I know my mum used to say it was naughty, Halloween.
That's from a Christian perspective. It probably is a bit naughty, isn't it?
Exactly.
Anyway, so we're back after a break of a few weeks. We're carrying on season 6.
Yeah, what episode is this?
Well, this is episode number 7.
Right. Okay.
Which puts my previously I was doing it in blocks of 26 because I knew that was 6 months.
Okay.
And but that's been blown out of the water. And so I could keep a tab on how long we've been doing it for, but having taken a break now, that's thrown that system out.
Right.
But I'll have to come to terms with that, won't I?
I think you probably will. Yeah. And yeah, of course, there's the little extra episode.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Still, we had lots of. We've got to be thankful for the downloads we had during our break, haven't we?
Yeah, they were significant. As I think we've mentioned before, there were more people listening to us when we weren't here than there are when we are. So, make of that what you will.
Yeah. But it was the last episode before the break was called The Benefits of Having a Break. So it seems to have worked out well. Do you feel refreshed?
I do feel refreshed, yeah. I was just looking at, while we were having a break, I was looking through some of the episodes that had been downloaded. And do you know what our least popular episode is?
Go on. Which one? But the football one?
No.
The football special.
It's odd. I expected it to be that, but I couldn't really understand this. But for some reason, our least popular episode was the one we did on excuses.
Was it? Oh, yeah. There's something there, isn't there?
Well, there probably is something there, but I couldn't work out what it is.
No, it seems a bit strange, I must admit. But we have no control over that, do we? So we have to let it go.
We don't have any control over that, but there is a question I wanted to ask you.
Oh, well, okay.
I was watching the cricket the other day, and as often happens in a game of cricket, somebody caught it in the nuts.
Okay.
Right. And one of the co-commentators, I can't remember who it was now, it might have been, what's her name? Alex Hartley, who's a female England cricketer.
Okay.
And she posed the question to one of her co-commentators. She said, why is it that when men get a ball in the nuts or got hit in the nuts, other men always laugh, even though they know it hurts so much? And I thought, that's a really good question. What's that all about, do you think?
It's just not being hit in the nuts, is it? We laugh at other people falling over and hurting themselves. I mean, women tend to rush around and say, oh, you okay? You all right if someone falls over? Men just laugh. We're just built differently, aren't we?
Cruelly, you mean?
Cruelly, yeah. It's a complete lack of sympathy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think being hit in the nuts by a cricket ball is actually, I don't think that's ever happened to me. Football, plenty of times, which is incredibly painful, especially at close quarters where it gets thwacked in. But not a cricket ball, which is.
I've been hit in the nuts by a cricket ball, but the most notable experience of that I can remember was when we were playing a game and a work colleague of mine got hit in the nuts.
Okay.
With a full-blooded drive. He got in right in the nuts, and he had to be carried from the field, and he was off work for 2 weeks.
Was he? That's incredible. I mean, the bruising you get from that is incredible. I know from a football, when you get it around the area, it's not just that particular. Well, it's all around the thighs and everything that bruise up. Yeah, nasty.
Is that what you wanted to talk about today?
No, I didn't. But a lot of it was interesting. Obviously, during our break, we've both become a year older, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah. The Queen died.
The Queen died. Do you don't think that has anything to do with us not being on air?
I think she might have lost the will to live.
New episodes.
No new episodes into her. I want to call it a day now.
She kept going on every Thursday, thinking, still nothing.
Yeah.
And in the end, it just got too much.
It did, yeah. She just let go, didn't she? She was holding on.
5 minutes in, we've already upset the royalists.
Didn't take long. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to have a break. I can admit, I never sort of, but it's never felt like a chore doing this. I don't know how you feel about it. So I've missed it a bit. I've got to say, it was a little bit of a sense of loss, I suppose.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, which
segue?
is it is a bit of a segue. I don't want to come on to talking about loss, but before we start, it's just a quick. It only happened to me a week or so ago. Actually, an example of corporatism. You know, we like to have a little pop at phrases and that come up.
Yeah.
From time to time. It's one that it was an excuse really, rather than anything. I was opening a new bank account for our charity.
Yeah.
Because the Nationwide Building Society, in their wisdom, had decided they were closing down all the treasurer's accounts and getting rid of charity money. So we had to apply to get a new account, which has been quite tricky because a lot of banks aren't taking that sort of account on. But there we go. We applied to the Charities Aid Foundation Bank in the end, which is ideal for us. I don't know if you've opened a bank account recently, but it's quite horrendous.
I don't think I've opened a bank account probably for about 30 years.
Well, no, I think the last one I did was when I left school. So yeah, it's a long time ago. Things have changed somewhat.
They have bank accounts then?
Yeah, I think we all ran down to one of the guys had left and joined Lloyd's Bank, Jez, who was one of our listeners.
Right.
And so we all ran down there and opened up a bank account when he joined the bank. So that was all left. And I still have that bank account to this day.
You probably hoped you'd get some free money from him because he was working there.
But anyway, these days they emailed me through the application, which was 30 pages long. Okay.
Get out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, my poor printer was there was smoke rising from it. But it took me, and all the supporting documentation you got to get. But I got it all together and dropped it off over to them. Their head office is only across in Kings Hill, quite close to where you used to work, actually.
Correct.
Down the same road.
When I was in the corporate world, yeah.
Yeah. So after about 10 days, I thought I'd give them a chase to see how we were getting on. And because I said, we've got no access to funds at the moment. Can you give me sort of a time scale? And they said, well, no, we can't at the moment, but we're working on a best endeavour basis. And I said, well, do you not normally work to that then? You're normally a bit sloppy. Whatever, we'll take it easy now. But the moment we're going to go down to the best endeavour base, I thought if ever there was a corporate phrase that gives you no information whatsoever, but probably makes them feel quite good themselves, that was it. I was fuming.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, the very idea of working on anything other than a best endeavour basis.
I know. That's the irony of that, isn't it? That's what made me laugh. Anyway,
I'm going to work on a worst endeavour basis.
We do that.
Couple of weeks.
We do that quite well on here, don't we? A shoddy endeavour.
Well, no, I think we do. Well, I think we do work on best endeavour, but I think sometimes our best endeavour is still woefully inadequate.
Our ability is very low.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very good.
Yeah, I quite liked that. So I thought I'd just get that one off my chest.
Well, I
Bit of
hope
a
you've got
whinge.
over it now. I can imagine it must have been somewhat disappointing.
I took it. Yeah, I had to just take it in my stride. So, well, okay.
Just, I know you want to talk about loss, and
Yeah.
this is related to loss. Just going back to the Queen for a moment, Her
Okay.
Majesty.
Yeah.
What's that all about? People taking videos and pictures of the hearse going past. What's going on there?
I don't know. Perhaps they want to look back on it in future
What?
time and think, I was there.
I think it's a disgrace. That.
What disrespectful you
I
mean?
think those armed police should have been mowing people down for doing that. It's
What, for just for
absolutely
taking pictures?
It's disgraceful. It's so disrespectful, I think.
Well, we take pictures of all. I was talking to someone the other day. We fill our phones up. We're taking pictures of stuff that we never look at. You know, they're dispensable, aren't they? And I suppose you just feel like you need to take a picture just in case you need to refer to it at some point in the future, which you never do.
Yeah, but the thing that particularly struck me about that was that you've got like a moment where the longest reigning monarch in British history is passing in front of you. And instead of actually experiencing the moment, you've got your phone in front of your face.
Well, that's another subject matter altogether, isn't it? Really, when people do that at gigs and
Phones.
phone videos on phones and stuff. Yeah,
We haven't done an episode on phones, have we?
we haven't. No, we could have a good old moan up on that one, I suppose. But yeah,
Yeah, but then we'd sound like what we are. Which is
exactly.
aging men.
There was someone that came into group actually yesterday who didn't have a smartphone.
That's refreshing.
It was. He had a very old phone, but that you couldn't really text on very easily. You know, you had three sort of letters allocated to one number.
Yeah.
It took you forever to text, didn't he? He had one of those, but that was as far as he wanted to go with his mobile phone use. It was refreshing.
It's interesting that Jacob Rees-Mogg is coming to group.
Is he in that situation then?
Well, I would have thought so. I mean, he seems antiquated in all other respects, doesn't he?
He does. I think Ed Sheeran doesn't own a smartphone either.
Doesn't he?
No, which is a bit strange. We're getting way off subject here, aren't we?
Okay.
We're rambling.
Yeah, let's get back.
Should we have a look at the subject matter? Shall we? Have a little chat about... Yeah, I was looking at loss, which is not including bereavement, because we've done that and those people that have been downloading stuff during our absence may have come across season 2, episode 6, which is all about bereavement. And I think that's one that is worth revisiting from time to time, especially if you lost someone recently.
It's quite dogmatic of you to say that our episode today on loss doesn't include bereavement.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, I'm now feeling constrained that I can't stray into the area of death.
You can, because there's a little bit of overlap. There's a bit of an overlap, really. Also, we did an episode in season 4 about dealing with trauma, and that's got a little bit of an overlap with today's subject. So there are little bits of overlap where we're talking about it. So our Venn diagram,
Right.
There's bits and pieces from a couple of other episodes in there as well.
So death isn't off limits.
It's not off limits, mate, if you fancy going down that route. Is that all you've thought about since we've discussed doing loss?
No, quite the reverse, actually, because, and which I think was one of the things that inspired the idea, wasn't it, that loss is so much broader than death.
It is, and that's exactly that. And it was inspired by an encounter I had with a distraught-looking lady in the car park where I live. Which when I was going out to my car, and she was pacing up and down the car park with her head down, intently looking at the ground. And when I asked her if she was okay, she said she'd lost a stone from her engagement ring.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so I helped her look for a little while, and she was saying, I don't expect there's much chance of finding it, but I'm going to keep looking because it's of great value to me, really. It'd be sad to lose it.
So that's what I was... It?
Sorry?
Had you stolen it? You'd seen it, hadn't you? Pocketed it?
Well, she's told me it was a light blue. I think it's a topaz or something. I don't really understand gems. Do you? You got gem knowledge?
No, my knowledge of gems is minimal.
Yeah, mine too. But it did remind me also at the time when I was on holiday. I was only a child in the Isle of Wight, and my older brother had a St. Christopher that had been given to him by Gangan, her grandmother.
Yeah.
And he lost it when we was on holiday, in the Isle of Wight, whilst we were out one day. And we paced up and down this village we were at, and we couldn't find it. But that reminded me, and there was a sense of loss, and the fact that I still remember it because I can remember the pain on his face, and everyone around trudging up and down trying to find this St. Christopher because it meant a lot to him.
That's horrendous losing something like that.
Yeah,
you should have said a prayer to St. Anthony because St. Anthony is the saint of lost things, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he a mate of St. Christopher then? Because he's the patron saint of travellers, isn't he? People lose stuff on their travels, don't they? They could have had a word.
I know that my mum always used to say that if I'd lost something, I should say a prayer to St. Anthony. And I may be kind of remembering this. Can you remember something through rose-coloured glasses? You can't really, can you? But I may be remembering this nostalgically or romantically. But I seem to remember that quite often it worked.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So there you go. If you say a prayer to St. Anthony for that lost St. Christopher, you never know, it might turn up.
Okay, yeah, I never knew there was a St. Anthony, so there we go. But both of these little anecdotes were reminding me how painful loss can be of certain things that we do hold dear to us. And as addicts, we pretty much lose everything before we hit rock bottom, as we've talked about before. And the sense of loss obviously is sort of self-fulfilling because as you lose various bits, because you end up losing your marriage and your house and your car and your business, and each one that goes down makes you feel worse about yourself, and so you indulge that little bit more. So it is a horrible spiral. And the only thing we have left at that point is life, which we know, unfortunately, if we don't get our sobriety or get our recovery in place, then we end up losing that as well. So I wanted to talk about everything up to and including death, which is why it cuts off quite neatly when you're looking about the descent of an addict into the chaos before we find recovery.
Yeah, that's interesting. You're right, because if you're in active addiction, then your definition of loss would be much broader than the loss that a lot of people might think of when they think of loss.
Yeah.
In the same way as when people think of addiction, they think of drugs and alcohol, but of course, addiction can be much broader than that, and it's the same for loss.
Right, exactly that. And I think that the lady I was talking about in the car park, my brother Russ, certainly had a feeling of grief. But unlike bereavement, there was still a little bit of hope there, wasn't it? At that point, with bereavement, there's a finality to it, isn't there? Mm-hmm. And when I was googling dealing with loss, nearly everything came up was about bereavement. One of the things come up was dealing with loss adjusters. That was quite. I don't know if you had to deal with a loss adjuster, but
I've had to deal with a loss adjuster. Yeah,
they're a pain in the arse normally, so you need to have a little bit of strength for that.
Yeah. They actually, I had to deal with one relatively recently when I had a leak in my shower.
Okay, yeah,
that happened, and it came from the kitchen ceiling.
Yeah.
And this loss adjuster came around and he said, I don't know why they've cut a hole in the ceiling there, because you can see that the leak has been caused by the grouting on these tiles. And actually, when the plumber came, he said it's nothing to do with it at all. So the loss adjuster was a complete loss. He was a dead loss, frankly.
Yeah. They're just a nuisance. They're just trying to reduce as much as they can off the claim. They get paid by that, the amount they save. So it's, they're not good. But I just think that when you're looking at that, you mentioned earlier on about a broad church, because I wanted the addiction is because gamblers, they fall into that category as well, though, because they deal with incredible losses. Mm-hmm. And I know that people that have come to group that have had gambling issues will tell you that they know they've got issues when they start chasing those losses, when they try and put bigger and bigger bets on on longer and longer odds to try and get back where they started the day at.
And they're quite a good example of what you just referenced, really. The difference between death and other types of loss is that death is final, but with most other types of loss, you kind of harbour some hope that it can come back.
Yeah.
And compulsive gamblers are the worst example of that. It is actually their hope that they can regain things that is their undoing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So in many respects, it's not just the loss itself that hurts us, but sometimes we can be incredibly self-destructive by chasing the loss. I mean, you can think of that in so many different ways. I suppose the other obvious example would be relationships, when a relationship breaks down and you can then spend perhaps, months or even years chasing it, when actually you would have been better off just facing forwards and getting on with your life.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good example. But when I was, again, when I was doing the Googling and doing the research on this, I came across a counselling blog by a therapist, which was quite good. And it was called "Why Am I So Upset About Losing Something I Loved?" And they were saying in their blog that it's actually, it's rarely the actual thing itself we're mourning. It's what the thing represented to us, which I thought was quite, which we sort of touched on there. It's the intrinsic value, like this lady in the car park, that her engagement ring represented her relationship and everything that was probably going right in that. Mm-hmm. And the value to my brother of losing a gift from his grandmother. It is, and the value of it in itself, I don't know how much that topaz stone was worth, probably a few quid, but his St. Christopher would have been worth a few quid. But the value, intrinsic value, was much, much higher, wasn't it? And
yeah, because actually the thing that you're really feeling the loss of is something inherent in that relationship with the person who gave it to you.
Yeah.
In both of those situations, I mean, Gan wouldn't have been angry, would she?
No.
But Russ would have felt awful about having received that gift from someone so close to him, and then having to say to her, "I've lost it." We would naturally then perceive that they're going to see us in a different way, and that's a loss, isn't it? It's kind of a loss of, we fear some sort of loss in something around that relationship. Yeah,
and I think that that it was the thought of having to tell her that he'd lost it. But also think that, we were talking about it at the time, that if he did say to her that he'd lost it, she'd go and get him another one. And he did. Yeah. He felt guilty about that as well. So it was quite a tough one.
Yeah. Do you think something was taken away from our relationship when you lost the lens from your glasses on the terracing at Upton Park?
I was filled with hatred for you at that point, yes. Because you've ruined a perfectly good football match that I was enjoying, with West Ham actually winning. And you knocked the lens out of my glasses, so I had to see it one-eyed.
Oh, I know I've brought that up a lot of times over the episodes, but it never ceases to make me laugh. So.
Well, I'm glad it brings you some joy. I had a terrible sense of loss that day. I was a loss of sight.
And a loss to some extent, we both experienced subsequently, haven't we?
In what ways?
A loss of sight. We've both had eye problems.
Oh, we have, yes, mate. Yeah,
it's another loss, isn't it?
It is a loss, yeah. Which there's always hope on that. You can adjust it.
Yeah, get a few injections in your eyes, it'll be all right.
Yeah. So how do we deal with this? What do we reckon we can? How do we make ourselves feel better after losing something? There's a couple of pointers that came up on this blog. But I just wondered if there was anything you wanted to interject at that point. I can imagine it's obviously something that does come up when you're in session with people.
Yeah, this might sound like a very sweeping generalisation, but I often think that actually some sort of loss is at the root of almost every emotional difficulty.
Okay, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, very good, yeah.
Even down to if you think of if you think of suffering from depression, it's a kind of loss of sense of self, a loss of connection with yourself, if you like.
Yeah.
So, yes, it does come up a lot. And in answer to the question, what can we do about it? I think there are kind of three things perhaps. The first thing is you have to acknowledge what it is to you that constitutes a loss. Because as we're saying, it's the definition of it can be very broad. And I'll share with you a little exercise that I do with clients to try and tease that out in a moment.
Okay.
The second thing is to then face it.
Right.
Which might sound a bit trite and obvious, but I think quite often with losses, we have a lot of kind of strategies of kind of pushing them away and not really engaging with them in the same way as we do with bereavement. And then I think the third part is to kind of acknowledge its impact. It's very hard to get past something if you're not prepared to acknowledge the impact it's had on you. And the reason, obviously, as we've discussed many times before, that we tend not to acknowledge the impact of things because it's flipping painful.
It hurts, yeah.
Really painful, really hurts. It's really uncomfortable. And it feels much easier to kind of turn your attention towards something else. But of course, the impact of that is that it never really gets dealt with. It never really, you're never really able to kind of get past it.
I think, emotionally, it can be quite difficult to fess up when you're feeling sad about losing something. I remember, as a kid, losing my favourite marble in a game at school, and that stayed with me for a long time. But beating yourself up about that, or using phrases like, man up or stop being a wimp, really unhelpful, aren't they, in those situations?
They aren't. And actually, it's quite a good example, your marble, because it becomes more difficult when we have to acknowledge the loss of something that other people can't see as a loss.
Yeah.
So if we say, like, this feels like a significant loss for me, and other people are like, what's the matter with you? That's A, it's one of the reasons why we keep it quiet, and B, it's really unhelpful for us because we feel kind of isolated and alone in that. I'll give you an example, which is, a marble is obviously a ball of a type. And I've got this thing about the ball that I take out with the dogs that I throw with one of those chuckers.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, I have a real attachment to it. I mean, I've had it since Nelly was a small puppy, so not that long. But I'm fixated with not losing it. So if it kind of disappears into a hedge or something, I'll spend an inordinate amount of time scrabbling around trying to find it. And my family laugh at this and they say, why don't you just take a different ball out? But for some reason, I can't do that. But the thought of losing it is really quite painful to me. And of course, when I talk about this to my kids, they just laugh at me. In fact, Beth said yesterday, she said, even I'm getting stressed about it now. Can you just leave it alone at home and take a different one out? So I think they're kind of illustrations. The marble and the ball for the dogs are illustrations that we can kind of become strangely attached to anything. And it's also another illustration of why loss is very much in the eye of the beholder. If you feel like something's a loss, it's not for anybody else to say to you, no, it isn't. That's not a loss. It's
not. And I think it becomes worse, going back to the marble, it's the joy that the other person had of winning it. And that made it even worse. It made it a lot worse. And, one incident, a bit like at the football yesterday, I don't want to mention football particularly, but Maidstone conceded a goal right in the last minute of extra time. And the feeling of loss at that point was horrible, but the joy on the Chesterfield fans' face as they rushed towards us, gesticulating towards all the Maidstone fans, in absolute gay abandon.
Well, I mean, I know we try not to talk about football here, but I mean, I think it is an appropriate example because obviously I wasn't at the football, but I was following it on Twitter and I saw that goal and I could imagine your face.
Yeah.
And I have to say that made it easier for me. It made it quite amusing because I thought you will have the face of thunder right now.
Yeah, I did.
Because it's, been on top of some other recent sporting disappointments, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
And so, I mean, I think I've probably told you this before, and I think this is probably true of loss generally, but if you experience a shared loss, quite often someone else hurting more than you makes it easier.
I
quite like watching significant football games with you because if the result goes the wrong way, I know that you are more affected than me and it helps me.
I'm the fool guy, am I?
Yeah. Well, you soften the blow for me a little bit. I can hear you now. You're back.
Yeah, okay. We had a bit of a glitch there.
Yeah. What were you saying?
I don't know where we got to there.
I'd said you soften the blow for me.
Yeah, no, we've gone on there. I can pass that. It was about giving yourself time.
Yeah, I didn't hear that bit.
Oh, okay. It was one of the tips that came up when I was looking at this or in this blog about giving yourself time because in the heat of the moment, things feel really bad. And it is just that passage of time, which does tend to pour a bit of a healing balm over it. Certainly by the time I'd walked home from the football, I was okay about it. And I was cracking on.
I was just thinking about the importance of letting time pass.
Okay. I think we've talked about in the past that time is not necessarily a healer on its own.
Correct.
But you need to put something in place. But yeah, I think that the walk home from the ground, which is only about 15 minutes by the time I got home and rationalised it in my own head, it was fine.
I mean, the real benefit of a situation like that, when you've just experienced something very consciously that's been painful, is that you can't press it down, really. Because you're there, you're in the moment, it's happening. You've then got to walk home. It's like that's on your mind. So that's the best possible thing that can happen, really. So in that sense, time I'm not going to say time is a great healer. In that sense, time does help, but I think in other situations where perhaps you're not acknowledging a loss, or where a loss is kind of more unconscious, then time in and of itself won't help you. It'll only help you if you are able to kind of bring it into consciousness and acknowledge it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right. I think I did get distracted actually on the way home as well, because I was walking. You probably know the route I take home, but I'm walking at the top end of Ingliston, and there's a little mini roundabout, a couple of little mini roundabouts. And they're all, rather than a big roundabout in the middle, it's like a raised hump. And when I was walking out, I got to the first one yesterday, and there was a guy stuck on it in a motorised wheelchair, sort of pivoted in the middle. And he was a little bit distraught because there was cars that started pulling out, started bibbing him and that, and he couldn't get away. And luckily, there's two other people who got there before me and helped him off. And by the time I got to them, we were talking. And they had just come from the game as well. And so we was able to share the experience of the pain and then talk about this chap who got stuck on the roundabout.
He grounded himself.
He grounded himself, yeah. He was sort of rocking back and forth and couldn't get himself off. And although we shouldn't laugh, it was because he'd had a loss of traction, the lad.
Yeah, I was going to say, that a loss of control. He'd lost
loss of control. So I was distracted. And at that point, I thought, do you know what? Life's not really that bad after all.
That's what you need, isn't it?
It was,
That's what you need.
Yeah.
And that's another interesting point, actually, because it's no good someone else comparing your loss with something that they think is more significant.
No, quite.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like when you see something, you think, actually, that's putting this in perspective for me. Perhaps this isn't so bad. Then that can be really powerful, but you have to find it yourself. So, that's what you're looking for, someone grounding their mobility scooter whenever you're really struggling with a loss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was in quite good spirits about it, though. He saw the funny side of it. He said it's never happened to him before, but he learned a valuable lesson, didn't he?
Yeah, not to go over that mini roundabout.
That's exactly right, yeah. What he was doing out in the middle of the road, God only knows, but there we go. So that's really it. Well, the other tips they come up with, which is a bit weird, really, but was journaling. I suppose you can put that down in a journal, but it seemed a bit. But just for a loss like that, journaling, would that be a good idea?
Well, I think journaling is generally a good idea. You wouldn't necessarily journal about losing to a last-minute goal against Chesterfield.
No.
But journaling, the journaling is facing it and acknowledging its impact, isn't it?
True.
That is what it's doing. Yeah. I just want to share with you this little exercise that I do with people about
I was hoping you'd come on to that, because I've sort of run out of a little bit of useful input.
Have you grounded yourself on a mini roundabout, on a metaphorical mini roundabout?
That sort of thing. You're wobbling and waiting for assistance, and you're the chap that runs across and pushes me off.
Yeah. So there's this little exercise that I do with people that comes out of a book, a therapeutic book called Draw on Your Emotions, I think it comes from. But it's called The Museum of Loss, and I really like it because it's like a cartoon picture of a museum. And it's got a load of plinths, like the things that the plinths you'd find in a museum for the exhibits. They're all, and none of them have got anything on them. So the idea is that you can inhabit them with drawings or, writing in losses you've experienced. But it asks you to think specifically about 4 specific losses, as well as any others that you can think of. So it asks you to identify your most significant loss. The loss that's been most significant in your life, the most recent loss, obviously for you it would be 2-1 against Chesterfield, your earliest memory of loss, and your most painful loss. So it kind of covers some really useful bases, and it helps you to think about losses that you've experienced that are not just death. And there are so many different things come out when you do that exercise with people. Some people will think about it very broadly, and they'll think of their childhood as being the most significant loss. If you grow up in an abusive household, or you grow up and your parents split up when you're quite young and there's a lot of animosity between them, all of those years where you probably wanted to spend just messing about and feeling free and comfortable and safe, you probably didn't spend your time like that at all. And so you can lose great swathes of time And, one that we've spoken about a lot before is you losing a decade.
Exactly. I was just thinking that would be on my shelf, certainly, and filling up one of those plinths.
So I'm not asking you to share this with us because I think that would be a bit too much. But if you were faced with, thinking about most significant loss, most recent loss, earliest loss, most painful loss, do you think that would perhaps make you think differently about loss, or perhaps bring losses to the fore that maybe you haven't acknowledged quite so much? I mean, you're probably a bad example because I guess you would have done a lot of this work in recovery anyway.
Yeah.
But I guess you can see how it might kind of tease those things out from other people.
Yeah, I can, and I can see that when you're doing that, it does give you time to reflect, and but it also puts it in perspective of the significance and the value of those losses, and this passage of time we're talking about, how you can come to terms with it and deal with it as time goes by.
Yeah, one of the nice things about the exercise is when you do it in therapy, when someone's completed it, you ask, as a therapist, you kind of ask them, take you around the museum. So take me around the museum, show me.
All right, okay.
Show me the exhibits. And so when you're explaining a loss you've experienced to somebody else, a therapist, then again, kind of different dimensions of it come out. You sometimes find yourself talking about it in a way that you hadn't really realized you thought about it. Because when we internalize our emotions, we kind of, they're sitting there and we think, oh, that's how it is. But when you hear yourself speaking about it, other aspects of it come out, and you are likely to go into greater detail and sometimes kind of spin off at a tangent and learn something about yourself that you really didn't know. So it's a lovely exercise.
But that's just to round the story up. The lady that I was talking about to you in the car park,
the one who lost her ring.
Yeah, well, she lost just a jewel from her ring. She found it again. I bumped into her a couple of weeks later. It was in the boot of her car, as it turned out. So she was looking along. She knew it was somewhere between the car and her property. She was scouring on the floor, and then she found it in the boot of her car, which went to get her shopping bag out.
That's amazing. So, do you know what she'd done? She'd obviously said a prayer to St. Anthony, hadn't she?
I don't know what she'd done, but she'd done a lot of looking and thinking. But she said to me, she said, it was so lovely to find it. It was a bit like my husband had proposed to me all over again.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, I know, yeah, it's quite touching.
Oh. Did you have a tear in your eye when she said that?
We were chatting for quite some time, and I've never spoken to her before. So it was quite nice to make her acquaintance, to have a chat with her, yeah.
So there you go. See, if you see her now, you'd say hello, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So loss was at the root of a new connection.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so something positive came out of that.
There we are. Lovely.
But my brother never found his St. Christopher.
Well, not yet.
Not yet. But so if anyone's in, I think, was it Gad's Hill? I can't remember where it was now. It was a little place in the Isle of Wight. It was lost around about probably 1970, something like that.
Okay, so it's a tall order, isn't it?
It's a tall order. There's still hope, but yeah, I think it was a silver one.
I don't know if we've got any listeners in the Isle of Wight, but if we have, if you could get out there looking this afternoon, if you've not got much on, that'd be really helpful. Russ would really appreciate it.
Well, he bought another one after that. I think rather than tell Gan he'd lost one, he went and bought one that was pretty much identical. So he covered all his bases on that and moved on.
Yeah, sensible, pragmatic.
Yeah, I think so. That's about it, really, mate. I just wanted to come on to the last thing. Well, but I've still got a gratitude list on to add on. Have you got anything on for this? Well, I didn't. I know we were going to change things around, but I still quite like the idea of a gratitude list. It's
fine by me. You're putting me on the spot, and I've got to think about something right off the top of my head. I can do that actually quite easily.
Go on then.
Well, this is going to be an odd one, probably for a lot of people listening to this, particularly if you live in the UK. But I'm quite grateful for the arrival of autumn. Because, as you know, I'm not very good in hot weather, and it's been a bit too uncomfortable for me for much of this summer. And I love the autumn anyway, but I'm quite grateful for a chill in the air and to be able to wear a hat in the morning.
Well, mine is almost the polar opposite of that on my gratitude list. Yeah, it's for the amount of sunny days we had during the summer. It's been a great summer. And although we did reach a record high in the UK, didn't we? We had one day where it was too hot to move, and but I just sort of went home early from work on that day. It didn't really break my stride a great deal.
Personally, that was a record low for me that day.
Was it? It was
Emotionally.
It was very hot. But no, I love it. We have long. So I like the long evenings. I think we spoke the other day about the last 7 o'clock sunset over London.
Yeah.
That occurred last week, and there's that gradual drag in of the days getting shorter, which I don't like.
So I don't mind that. I don't really like it much in the morning because it means I can't really take the dogs out till it gets light, and that's a bit of a nuisance. But I'm not really bothered about the evenings getting darker. As you know, I don't really do anything anyway. So
no, it's just I like it when I feel better when it's when it's brighter, longer days.
Well, listen to Sideways. That'll cheer you up if you ever feel blue.
And now we've come to meteorological autumn. I had trouble saying that one then.
You did.
Now we come there. It's meteorological autumn.
It's good.
Yeah. I managed it about. Then it is time for Sideways to come back, isn't it? To those long winter evenings.
Definitely. It's synonymous, isn't it? It's like Strictly Come Dancing, Bake Off, Sideways.
On the way towards Christmas.
Exactly.
So that's it. But the last thing I just wanted to do is a little bit of a new feature, really.
Mm-hmm.
But something that came up that I came across and did make me laugh a little bit, and there's some serious stuff in there as well. But about there's a website called daysoftheyear.com.
Yeah.
And when you go on there, it tells you what that particular day, like today, and it tells you what there's a lot of different days allocated to this particular, or a lot of different events allocated to this day.
Yeah.
And I've got them up in front of me. There was quite a lot, so I didn't actually print them out, but I thought I'd just bring them up on my phone when I'm looking at it. One of them is National Cooking Day. Oh, which is today. Which you'll be doing that anyway, won't you?
I will be doing that anyway. But that's interesting to having National Cooking Day. I mean, what do you do the other 364 days of the year? Then do you just get a takeaway?
A takeaway.
Someone's got to be cooking, haven't they?
They have, really. Yeah. I think it's perhaps to celebrate it, or those people that don't cook, perhaps you'll have a crack at it.
Well, you'll be cooking, won't you? Will you be cooking today?
No, I doubt it, no.
Well, it's National Cooking Day.
It is, but there's a more important day also allocated to the 25th of September, which is National Daughter Day.
Oh.
Now, obviously, I've got a couple of those. And
I've got one of those too.
And you've got one of those. And I just did a little bit of research into that one because apparently it started in India, where sometimes in certain places and certain cultures, the daughters aren't valued as much as a son.
Yeah.
And it was launched in 2007 as a way to sort of counteract that a little bit. So they have cards for National Daughters Day and that sort of thing. So I quite liked that.
So it's quite like it was quite like, because, originally there wasn't a Father's Day, was there? And that was kind of conceived because of Mothering Sunday. And I'm not a big fan of Father's Day, as I think we've discussed. Yeah. So presumably, eventually, we're going to come across National Sons Day, are we?
Well, something's going to happen, isn't it?
Anyway, what do you have to do on National Daughters Day?
Just cherish them, really. You can buy them a card, send them a little gift or whatever.
So I suspect you and I can't cherish our daughters any more than we already do.
I was going to say they're the most prized possessions in my life. And that, there isn't anything I could do to enhance that at all, no.
Yeah, children are great, aren't they?
Yeah, but National Chocolate Milk Day. If you fancy a bar of chocolate, you're okay to indulge today.
National Chocolate Milk? Is that National Milk Chocolate or chocolate milk?
It says chocolate milk, which is a bit weird, isn't it? I mean, if you like drinking chocolate milk, then that's fine.
Do you like chocolate milk?
Not really.
Did you ever have Nesquik when you were a kid?
Yeah, I had some of that, yeah.
Oh, which flavour did you like? Not chocolate, surely.
No, strawberry, I think, mainly.
Strawberry, definitely. If you're going to have a milkshake, strawberry. Yep, okay.
Yeah, so that's about it, really. There, but there's there's one I just wanted to finish on. National Psychotherapy Day.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is. It's just a bit weird for a Sunday, really, I suppose. I mean, you're not going to be seeing too many people today, are you? But perhaps
if it's always the 25th of September, then next year it will be on a Monday, so I can find some way of celebrating that. I mean, I imagine my clients will bring me gifts and all sorts of things, won't they?
They're bound to embrace it, aren't they?
Yeah. Flowers, I expect I'll be showered with.
Flowers. Well, I expect you get showered with huge fees and stuff anyway. You don't need... Another one that came up, actually, before I get myself into trouble there. Today was binge day as well. Now, that's bad for an addict. We don't want binge day.
Binge day?
Yeah, they're referring to...
That's terrible for that to fall on a Sunday as well.
It is,
people won't need 2 invitations.
No, they won't. No, it's not the one that should be particularly celebrated.
I think we should draw a discreet veil over that one.
And the last one I just want to mention is National One Hit Wonder Day. which is
Wow. Can you think of a one-hit wonder that you enjoyed? One that immediately came into my mind.
It was. I think it was on my list that we used on the Spotify list of. I think all about "Shut Up Your Face" by Joe Dolce. I think that might have been on my list of.
Was it?
I don't know. I don't know if it was. I can't remember.
Yeah, it might have been. I was thinking of something that, I don't know if it's been on our list, but we certainly discussed it before, which was Terry Jack's "Seasons in the Sun."
Oh yeah. No, did he have more than? Was that his only hit?
Oh well, I certainly can't think of any other Terry Jack's.
No, I can't.
Song.
No, I can't.
I don't think he troubled the charts on too many occasions.
No. This mentions Mambo Number 5 by Lou Bega.
I couldn't stand that.
No, I couldn't. That's any hit his head. But no,
what about the Frog Chorus?
That was Paul McCartney, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think he's had more than one hit.
Has he? That's the only one I know of his.
Is it? Yeah,
Is
yeah.
He quite popular generally then?
Well, yeah, I think most people have maybe have one of his songs in their collection, yeah.
Was he ever in a band?
No, I don't, he might have been at one time. Whatever happened to them, eh?
Don't know. Anyway, that's probably enough, isn't it?
Yeah, more than enough. We've been babbling on for nearly an hour now.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's nice to be back.
It is nice to be back in the chair.
See you next week.
Yeah, will do, mate. Yeah, look forward to it already.
Laters. Bye.
Bye.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandy-wellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.